IP or something, and it. Is that okay? Sorry, stream. OBS did not stop recording. But okay, good. Well, it's back now. All right. Technology, gotta love it. Okay. The where are we? Okay.
Might be coming back to me.
Yeah, I was gonna verify that Pete was back on, and it looks like he is, and so yes, we can go back to you, Eric.
Okay. Result of the scouting would indicate that for some reason he's avoiding looking at the human girl with the long black hair. Elora seeing the thing, and actually the characters maybe also realize that Eric is avoiding eye contact with the ones that look like Christine. The one that he wants, the one that he talks up the most, is the elf. Is the elf, as he.
Okay, the young elf lass.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, yes, she will extol the virtues of the Azorius Senate to you. She will tell you all about how they do such important work in creating the laws of Ravnica, and she's especially fascinated by and takes a sense of pride in the work of the precognitive mages, the precognitive law mages. The precognitive law mages have perfected a technique that she tells you was first introduced to the Azorius Senate by none other than a person that other people in your party know. A woman who came here for a time from a distant plane and helped them to uncover and unlock the secrets of divining future events, specifically divining crimes that would be committed in the future, so that the perpetrators can be apprehended and punished before they have a chance to commit the crimes that they would otherwise commit. And she seems to be very, very proud of that aspect of the Azorius Senate.
She's telling him a story he's already heard.
Okay. Yeah, she doesn't know that.
What's the name of that mage? Actually, she would have said that the way you just.
Precognitive law mage.
That's the name of the particular mage that the party members know.
Oh. Okay, you would ask that. That's another place in my notes to go back and. Yeah, what was the... goodness. Well, we'll just find a name for her. Nobody else wrote this down, right? I'm guessing nobody did. So we will we reserve the right to retcon this, but for now we will call her
Using the name or title.
we'll call her Verlim Kosend.
Kosend. Fine. Kosend. And what did they do with Kosend's information?
Okay. Actually, no. Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you meant somebody that you had talked to before. In questioning her, or by inference, you understand that the person she is talking to that helped the Ravnikins unlock this ability to see in the future is actually Tacinda.
Tacinda's the one that she's talking about.
Yes, that helped the Ravnikins discover crimes that would happen in the future and how to prevent them, or how to prevent them by basically arresting the people that were going to commit them.
Oh, that's curious. And what happened to this Tacinda?
Well, it was very sad, of course. She was so loved by everyone in the Azorius Senate. She had friends in the Boros Legion. The Izzet League was counted her among their most staunch allies outside of their guild. And it was a very great shock when the law mages suddenly realized that Tacinda herself was going to be responsible for a devastating criminal act. It was shocking. So, well, of course they had to arrest her, and there was the usual trial, and she is the only person I have ever heard of whose sentence of treason was commuted to be one of exile instead of execution.
As well as the only one convicted who hadn't done anything.
Oh, no. The justice system here is very, very works very, very well. When someone is convicted by the precognitive mages of committing murder, and it is ascertained that the crime that they will be guilty of is one of calculated, premeditated thought and not a crime of passion, then they are executed on a routine basis. Now you see what normally happens if someone is arrested for a murder through the work of the precognitive mages, and it is determined that the crime they will commit is one of passion, a crime of passion that arises at a certain time and under a certain set of circumstances. Well, they are simply held until after the appointed time passes, and then they are allowed to return to their lives because they no longer pose a threat. But it is the ones who have shown that the precognitive mages have shown plot and plan murder in cold blood. They are the ones that get executed so that their nefarious plans cannot be carried out.
Interesting, but somewhat different. But Tacinda was not the first one to be arrested by the precognitive.
Oh, no. Far from it.
Far from it. So how many years had it been in by the time she was arrested?
Oh, I would say that she had worked with them for, well, she had worked with the precognitive. She helped to found the order of precognitive mages, and she must have worked for them for a decade before it came to light that she herself would be responsible for a devastating crime that would change Ravnica forever.
And you follow these people. So how do they know? Because is it one mage has a dream or something? Or is it some sort of communal process by which they determine these things?
Oh, I have not studied much of the science other than hearing about the work that they do. My speciality is in more mundane investigations of events that have already taken place, and I am studying to be a forensic scientist myself, to see the after effects, usually, of accidents and those types of things. The precognitive mages they cannot predict every crime. And I do not understand why this is. But they are never wrong in the crimes that they can predict.
Although you're not aware of what safeguards did this.
Oh, why, yes, of course. There are entire libraries of legal code that are dedicated to preserving the presumption of innocence when someone has been deemed guilty of a crime by the precognitive mages. Every attempt is made to cross-check and verify and debunk the findings of the precognitive mages until it is an ironclad certainty that they have not seen inaccurately.
Meaning like the rest of the Senate, the entire thing is checked and balanced by multiple people working together.
Oh, yes. A single precognitive mage can merely file a report that places suspicion of a future crime. That has to be verified further by a committee of precognitive mages. and then their findings must be sent to an entire hearing of arbiters that include both prosecutors and defenders before it can be escalated to a judge to issue an arrest warrant. There are many steps that must be followed. Ravnica has the strongest and safest and most enviable legal code in all the multiverse. Of that I am certain.
And thus many parts of the prosecution and defense probably have similar skills to the precognitive majors, or themselves precognitive majors are in committees with precognitive.
Well, they are very skilled jurists, for sure. Yes. And I think the calling, when one understands the gravity of having the gift and the talent to be able to detect crimes in the future, it is a tremendous burden. And so I believe that most of those with that gift do eventually join the ranks of the precognitive mages, but certainly among the finest legal minds in all of Ravnica, you will find the defenders of those that stand accused and the prosecutors of those whose future crimes will hurt many people.
Yes, they must also have the legal wherewithal to make arguments, to determine right from wrong, to determine precedents, to look at case law. But it seems that the defense also should have access to the precognitive major, or else how would one check the validity of that first?
Yes. There are many conversations and cross-examinations and discoveries of evidence that are not only permitted but indeed required by the courts, by defenders. They must show that they have gone and done the due diligence to find not only all of the evidence against the accused, but all of the circumstantial evidence that may refute that evidence. And it all must carefully be weighed and carefully be adjudged and adjudicated in a court of law.
And therefore the process is incorruptible, save for a theoretical ultra higher power, which would have the ability to even alter. But no mortal man, or sounds like even one of your angels, could corrupt the process. Major.
Oh, well, the angels themselves, of course, are incorruptible. One could never question the divine beings that they are. But
well, I'm thinking about all the patrons of all the gifts, right? So the bankers, the dragons, the what are those? The icons of the guilds here?
Oh, yes. Well, dragons are very powerful creatures, but at the end of the day, of course, they are only mortal creatures. Perhaps very, very long-lived.
Indeed. That's the point.
Merely mortals. And the church, they claim there to be higher powers, but I myself have never known or thought that there could be anything more blessed and more wonderful than the angels who lead the Boros Legion, that so ably defend Ravnica and carry justice in their swords and the swords of those soldiers that follow them to strike down those that would harm us. It is a beautiful sight to behold.
Mm-hmm. You're right. That is terribly interesting in many ways. Is that all they sent you to tell me?
Well, that is the primary information that I have for you. But of course, I'm sure we could think of other things to talk about. And she reaches up and she lightly brushes your cheek and she gives you a kind of a warm, inviting smile.
Yes, I was hoping you were here representing yourself as well.
Oh, yes. Well, crowds do make me a little anxious. Do you think we could go somewhere more private?
Yes, indeed. Do me a favor, will you? To close out our business here.
Oh, of course.
Who do you report to? What sort of position do they have?
Oh,
I want to
well,
know who you can take a message to.
oh. Well, I am a member of of Senator. Oh, come on. There we go. Gotta go back here. Okay. I am a member of Senator Catril's office.
Senator Cantrell, so another senator, other than the one called the meeting today.
Yes. Senator Catril is one of the Vidalcan senators.
Vidalcan, yes. I've heard Vidalcan and what is it, Lev? Are those two divisions of the government?
Oh, no. Vidalcans are the lovely blue-skinned, tall, graceful people that you have seen. And Vidalcan is their race. You are speaking. Lev is one of the divisions of the Azorius Senate, and the Liev column is the column of law enforcers. The Jelen column, that is the column of the senators. That is the one that my lady serves. And the Sova column are the column that oversee all of the courts that validate and uphold and execute the laws that are created.
And thus, the person you report to is one of the tall blue people who I haven't seen before, and that is a senator, meaning a person that makes and debates.
Yes.
That is exactly the thing I want. That is exactly the person.
Oh, wonderful. And
think about the message.
Okay. And so while you're thinking, she allows you to lead her off and we exit the scene.
Okay.
All right. Now let us see. Where are we? Okay. Go back down here. A couple of pages. Nope. Wrong one. Okay. So that takes care of that bit. Adamant. Pete, are you back? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Pete?
Not there. Not mute. Just
Yeah, he's not muted. Okay. Oh,
that could be a thing.
Hello.
Yes. Hey.
There it goes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Pete, you were going to go, I guess, see some people over at Nivix. Talk with them about what you could
He
do.
wanted to visit the shield,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes. Nivix is like the central guild hall over in Precinct 4.
Yes.
All right. So you head over there. And when you get there, you have you are led into a meeting with a gnome and a goblin and a human, and a Vidalcan, that are all members of the Izzet League. The gnome is named Fropass Slinsbis. The goblin is named Gria, and Asa Vumdrun is the Vidalcan. So they usher you into a little meeting room, and there is the customary slate. One wall is just entirely made of slate, and there are trays with different colored chalks there. And Fropass picks up a piece of chalk, and then he activates his boots of flying. And he just hovers up in the air with this chalk, and he goes over near the chalkboard, and he says, oh, okay, well, Adamant, we understand that you have a conundrum that you wanted to bring us. And my team and I, we're all about conundrums, and we love trying to solve them. So tell us a little bit about what your conundrum is.
Well, I think my conundrum has changed now.
Oh?
Yes. Because my new shield is a living thing.
Oh, it's a living thing. And kind of, you get the impression, kind of despite himself, Fropass's boots begin to drift him over closer and closer to where you are sitting, and his eyes are kind of just if your shield were a female gnome, his eyes would be having her clothes all over the floor. Let's just say that. That's kind of how he's looking at your shield.
Adamant catches none of that, of course.
And says, "Oh, well, a living thing. Well, now, Yes, you must be very careful with it. So what were you originally thinking? Just so we can make sure that we understand how the conundrum has changed.
He pulls out all the stuff that he'd been working on with the temples.
Okay.
He pulls out his copies, let's put it that way, and lays them out flat on the table.
Okay, so Fropass pulls them over so that he can look at them along with Gria and Asa, and they're like, and this, and okay, now. Oh, I see. You originally wanted this to be an animated shield. You wanted this to somehow be able to fold up and fit within your armaments.
Yes.
And then be deployable on demand. Oh, yes. Well, that's probably not a good idea to do with a sentient item unless the item gives its permission. Now, have you talked to the item about this idea?
I have. I've explained it in detail.
Okay. And now, was this item initially, was it created by a gnome, or was it created by by goblins or whatnot? Because, maybe if it was, maybe if we talked to it, maybe we could get some ideas from it.
Well, his name is Lephram, and he's an ancient dwarf.
Oh, he's a dwarf. He's a dwarf. So chances are it wasn't a gnome or a goblin that created it.
Nope, this is the work of a dwarven master.
Okay, well, now there's one thing that I know about dwarves. Dwarves are. They are. Can your shield? Can your shield hear me? Hello, Mr. Shield. Can you hear me? And in your mind, you hear this. What does the bloody fool think? Of course, I can hear it.
I'll put this politely. He says, yes, he can hear you.
Okay. Well, then let me word this the best way possible. Dwarves are very exacting about their creations before they create them. They understand what they believe to be the perfect form and function before they start their work. See, now, we gnomes, we believe in allowing the work to guide us as we go. We start with a general idea, and then as we do the work, we get inspired by the work to see what the final form will be. But that's not the way usually dwarven craftsmen work. They usually have a very precise and exacting idea of the form and function of what they're creating before they ever set out to work. So, probably it would not be a good idea to try to animate it or change it. But the end goal that you want is you want the shield to be able to be out of the way when it's not needed and be there when you do need it. Correct?
Yes, I don't think there's going to be an issue with Lephram with time. But I do want to perhaps pass some of this work on to you.
Okay. Well, if it could be done a different way, did you have any ideas about how you might want it? And roll me an insight check.
Insight check. Pull my character sheet back up. 26.
Oh, yeah. Very, very good insight check. Yes. You get the idea that that this team leader, Fropass, that he has a notion himself, but he's trying really, really, really hard because he knows that you're an important diplomat. He's trying to be really, really hard to find out if you have any ideas before he tries to blurt out his notion.
Adamant just kind of tilts his head. You don't need to worry about sharing your ideas with me. I will not get upset.
And he claps and he goes over and he starts drawing on the slate with the chalk, and he very rapidly does this rough sketch of like your arm, and then he shows your shield there, and then he's beginning another sketch of your arm, and as he begins the second sketch, he says, "Well, now you see over here, we have the vision of your armaments and your armature as the shield is deployed. So in its current state, the way you have it now. But what if," and he then begins to draw a dotted line where the shield would normally be. He says, "What if we were to create some sort of inter or extra dimensional pocket for your shield that's built right into your shield arm, so that when you need the shield, you can essentially pull it out of the pocket and have it there, and then when you don't need it, it can just go into that extra dimensional pocket, and it won't hurt the form, it won't hurt the shape, and it will still be out of the way so you can do whatever other kinds of tasks you need to do without the shield, without having to physically unbolt it and stow it somewhere else."
That seems like an expensive route to take.
And Gria, the goblin, she will clear her throat a little bit, and both Asa and Fropass look at her, and she says, "Fropass, Director Fropass, I have to remind you that this is the same idea you had that got you demoted from the team that's working on the flying machines." And Fropass gives her a glare, and it's like, "Why did you bring that up?" That's what his glare says. And the two of them just sort of stare at each other for a couple of minutes. And in that silence, the Vidalcan turns to Adamant and says, "Okay, our lab director, Fropass, he was once a lead designer on a flying gunship that was designed to be aerodynamic for speed. And Fropass had the idea to put the landing struts into a pocket dimension to make sleeker and more aerodynamic lines. But the first time they tested that on the prototype, the entire ship and its crew disappeared into a pocket dimension and was never heard from again."
Adamant just sits there quietly for a moment. Why not just make the landing struts retractable?
And Fropass says, because that's so simple. But the accident with the flying vessel, that wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. It was a result of a miscommunication between the gnomish engineering plans, which were very clearly drawn out, and I'm sorry to say, Gria, but the goblin technicians who were actually building the undercarriage of the gunship, they misinterpreted a few notes in Gnomish, and the calculations that they created because of that were wrong. If they had just followed everything to the letter as it had been done in the Gnomish plans, everything would have been fine. Everything would have been fine. But no. They had to go. They had to do that. The ship was lost, we suppose. I mean, it may be somewhere, but we don't know. And
usually when two portals combine like that, they go to the astral plane.
And Fropass says, well, I don't think there were any other portals on that gunship.
Where did the struts go?
They were on the bottom of the hull. Where else would you expect?
Right. How did they have their own individual extra-dimensional portals?
Well, yes, of course.
Yes.
Each one would have to have it.
Yes. Did you account for the portals combining?
There was no combination, though there were 4 struts and 4 separate portals, separated by several meters each.
But did you account for the possibility and take safeguards against it?
There's kind of a silence. Everything was fine, I tell you. It was fine.
He looks at left room. This is why I joined them.
And he says, Lephram says in your mind, well, you know, even back in my day, we carried bags of holding.
Indeed, we have one of us now.
As much as I hate to say it, the idea this gnome has isn't the most ludicrous thing I've heard. Now,
no. You just left out a few calculations. That's all.
Yes, well, let me tell you, it's your arm, but what do you think? Would you be willing to have them do the work if they would let you review the calculations?
I would definitely need to review the calculations, yes.
Maybe have a dwarven engineer look at it as well.
Maraded and gone, both.
Yes. As well.
Because anything we do for me can be done for other Warforged back in Waterdeep.
Yes, well, I don't know. I think let's see what kind of design he comes up with.
Agreed.
We won't let him do any work until it's been vetted, but I wonder what the little fellow can do.
Alright. Frobas.
Yes?
I want you to draw up a design. Please do not forget to take into account what may happen if somehow, say, my bag of holding gets too close to this arm.
Oh, so we need to have like maybe some dimensional shielding. And he starts to make some notes on the slate board. And then you can see that Gria is sort of tapping her chin. And she says, "Oh, yes. If we had an uncertainty vector that would be able to keep stabilization with a proximity sensor that could repulse the bag of holding so far from the arm. Yes. And then Asa, he's there, and he says, well, there's a few of those framostats that they have over in the lab that we could start to work with and see what kind of measurements we could take. And pretty soon they're all starting to contribute to this expanding group of notes and calculations and everything that's growing on the board. And it's like they kind of forget that you're sitting there.
If it works on this small scale, it might work for the plant for your flying craft.
And when you say that, Fropas says, yes, and I can be vindicated. Well, thank you, Adamant. Thank you. We have a lot of work to do. And
on that note, you may want to get some people checking the astral plane for your lost people.
The astral plane. Oh, okay. Well, hey, can you send a page in here on your way out? We're going to need to have a couple of other team members, and we're going to send some messages.
Definitely.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, thanks, Adam, and it's always great. It's always great talking to you, and we hope we will be able to develop some plans for you that will be suitable for your needs.
All right. I look forward to seeing it. Now, just so you know, I will be going over the plans with the engineers on our world as well, because we've got to be able to adapt it to our world.
Oh, okay. All right. So, well, I think I've heard from a memorandum that originated with Arcanum engineer Xander that there is already talk of getting a team of diplomatic engineers from the ISIT to go and study with and consult with the what did they call it, that laboratory in your city? Oh, the Blackstaff Tower.
Yes,
I think was the lab that they were talking about. So yes, I think that's, and then I think some of the engineers from the Blackstaff Tower are coming here as well. Sort of an exchange type of program where they will be consulting with us and learning some from us. So kind of a whole free flow exchange of ideas.
I would ask you to also consider contacting the temples of Gond and the Temple of Moradin.
Oh, you mean the priests in your world are also engineers?
Indeed.
Oh.
The Temple of Gond are engineers, and the Temple of Moradin is skilled at forging and engineering as well.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Yes, we will have to extend an invitation. Okay, well, I will make sure that we get those messages up to the leadership. Oh, well, thank you again, Adamant. Thank you.
You're welcome. He's got to get up and start heading out.
Okay.
And he'll tell The person at the front desk that they need a page, and that he's sorry, and then he walks out.
Okay, well, the page you find is a goblin lad, and he kind of takes a look in there, and he gives you sort of a grin, and he says, they're a lot of fun to work with. Don't worry about it. And he goes running in to find out what they need.
Adam's going to head back to the room.
Okay. Okay. All right. The now, Vernon, this is a message you're sending, or that Eric would be sending to the senator.
Yeah, that's his answer to the recruitment so far.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So that closes that whole bit out.
Okay, then I will make sure that I get a response for you. Okay, so message from Eric to... Whoops. That's not what I meant for it to be. Okay. Good. All right. Let's see. What else do we need to do? Oh, yes. We have a trip to the library. And this is a trip that both Galibar and Oyohusa wanted to take for different reasons. I believe for different reasons.
Yes, and Adamant promised Galibar he would help him.
Okay, and Adamant as well.
And Elora would like to go just for the heck of it.
Okay.
To explore the library.
All right. So does Eric have a reason to go to the library?
I think Eric is busy.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking.
Again.
Okay, that's fine. Then, all right. The rest of the group will trundle off towards Precinct 5, and they will head over towards the Is Mary Library. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Chris. And so as Chris, or as you guys go into the library, the edifice is there. It's a big, huge, tall building. It looks like it must be at least 20 stories tall, and the entire facade all looks like it's marble. And there are large, broad steps that cover the entire face of the building and rise up some 20 feet to a portico that has extremely large and thick marble columns that runs the entire length of this side of the building. And then extending in about 25 or 30 feet is sort of this covered area. And then there are doors. This place has construction like you are unfamiliar with in any plane that you have been to yet. The wall seems to be made entirely of panels of glass. And then in the middle of that wall, there is a large, what looks like a cylinder that has some kind of a strange portal in it. It doesn't have a door as such that you all are familiar with. Instead, it has 4 panels of glass that are formed in an X sort of shape that are within this cylinder. And there's kind of a partial opening on the side of the cylinder that faces you. And you see somebody that is approaching the other side of the cylinder. And when they approach it, they get to it and they just push on a metal bar that bisects the panel of glass. And these whole 4 blades rotate. And as they rotate, the person sort of walks through that cylinder and then emerges out into the area here. And so it seems like this is some kind of a strange portal, but instead of being a door that you open and go through, you somehow have to spin this thing to try to get through it. Looks very, very odd.
I might get stuck in that.
Actually, you don't think that you would, because the glass walls go all the way from floor to ceiling, so about 25 feet high, and this central cylinder is maybe about 15 feet in diameter and about 20 feet tall. So you can see how, you would be able to fit around it. If these panels weren't there, it would be very easy for you to walk around like the central pillar and go in.
Well, then in I go.
Okay. So describe how you manipulate this thing.
And he's watching which way people come out, and he's going to go in on the opposite side because it moves in a circle.
Okay. All right. So everybody watches as Adamant goes up, and he pushes on this thing, and indeed, these blades spin slowly as he pushes on this one panel, and he's then through, and he's inside in a large lobby. And of course, you can see it looks like this opens into a reading room of some kind, and there are, of course, stacks or bookshelves that are off to the sides, but then there's also hallways that have signs over them that are leading deeper into the building in different directions. So, everybody else going to go in, or does anybody have any?
I'm going inside, but for future reference, my axe is currently in my bag of.
Okay, bag of holding. All right. So you just follow Adamant in doing the same thing that he did?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody try anything different? Okay. All right. Well, let us go to, I think we're precinct 5. All right. So, yeah, you guys are over here now at the Ismeri Library. And you walk in, and there is an enormous marble counter in front of you, and there is a Vidalcan who is dressed very primly and appears to have spectacles balancing on its nose. The Vidalcans, they all tend to dress in robes, and to the eyes of most other humanoids, they have a rather androgynous look, and so it's hard to tell whether it's a Vidalcan male or female. And even their voices are kind of similar, so it's sometimes difficult to know whether you're dealing with a Vidalcan man or a Vidalcan woman, unless they tell you. So this Vidalcan is there, and she notices as you all come in and says, "Oh, my. What an interesting group we have here. How can I help you?"
After you, Galibar.
Sorry, didn't realize I was muted. Galibar pulls out a piece of paper that has a list of all the things that he is here to look for. And he looks at it for a second and says, I need research. I need to research planeswalkers. I need to research beholders, treants, and the Gith. / where they come.
Oh, very interesting. Oh, well, quite a scholar you are. It is so nice to see people come and make use of the library. Well, we have several different wings, and those wings are on the different floors. And I can tell you that you will find... now, when you say planeswalkers, are you looking more at information on the biographies of the planeswalkers or on the adventures of the planeswalkers? Because those will be found in different locations of the library.
The one I'm specifically looking for, one that was a furbolg.
Oh, a furbolg. Oh, well, now that would be furbolgs are. Let me consult. And she takes this big tome, and you notice that she has several large, enormous books, and one of them has imprinted sort of in gold leaf on the cover. It's a red book, and it says Races of the Multiverse. And so she opens this up, and she starts paging through the pages, and she gets to furbolg, and she says, yes, furbolg. Now, furbolg are descended from the giantkin. Okay, so you would be looking for, say, specific furbolg. Let's say you wanted to start with biography. You would be looking in the subsection of planeswalkers on giantkin planeswalkers, and you will find that information on the East Wing, and that will be on level 12.
Okay. Where would I find stuff on Beholder?
Oh, beholders. Oh, nasty creatures. I am so sorry that the multiverse has to be plagued with those things. But beholders, you will find that in the collection about aberrations of the multiverse. And the aberrations of the multiverse, you will find that in the North Wing, in level 9.
And what about the
Okay, let's see. What about the other one you had was Treants? Treants. Oh, the Tree Brothers. Tree Brothers. The Simic says that someday there will be, the Selesnya say that someday there will be forests again on Ravnica. I certainly hope I live to see that day. I would love to see forests in my lifetime. But the Treants, the Tree Shepherds, yes, you will find that on creatures of forest realms, and that is going to be on level 15, and that will be in the South Wing. Then I believe there was one other item you said you were looking for.
Yes, the gift and where they.
Oh, the Gith. Now, would you be looking for information on the Gith Zerai, or would you be looking for information on the Gith Yankee?
Galibar looks confused for a second and looks at Adamant. Which one are?
The Gith Yankee, please.
The Gith Yankee. Oh, okay. The astral pirates, as they are sometimes known. Okay, so this will be criminal races of the multiverse. I wish that the Boros Legion and the Azorius Senate could just go to the Gith Yankee homeworld and deal with them at the source. They would, then we would not have to worry about their lot ever again.
I believe that is our plan.
Oh, so you are servants of the Boros?
Oh no, not at all. We are actually going to get revenge.
Oh, revenge.
They kind of attempted to destroy our city.
I wouldn't call it revenge.
No, I call it revenge.
Because when you go seeking revenge, you should dig 2 graves.
Oh, the philosopher and the warrior, I see. Very interesting. And she says, well, the criminal races of the multiverse, you will find information on them on level 11 in the West Wing.
I think that is all I will be looking for in the next few days. What about
all
you?
Right.
I will go to find the information on the Gith.
Okay, should I let you go gather those books? I go look for the others.
Or I can just read them there. Makes no difference to me.
Oh, now, unfortunately, here at the Ismeri Library, we are a research library. We are not a lending library. So we do have services available. We do have scribes, both of a living nature and of an arcane nature. And if there are elements of a work that you need to carry with you, we can have the scribes make copies of portions of the work for you for a nominal fee.
What
Typically,
I meant was we would gather all the books and say like a few tables together.
Yes. Well, you will find that there are central reading rooms on every level of the library, and you are welcome to bring books from the shelves to the reading room and peruse them there. And you will find conveniently placed carts where you may return the books, and the staff of the library will make sure that they get back to their proper location. So all we ask is that when you finish using the books, that you return them to those carts, and they will be properly reshelved.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I have a question, if I may.
Oh, certainly. You and the lass as well, all of you. That we are here to serve.
I would like to know where I can find information regarding demons and planes that they exist on.
Well, as for demons, they would be found in the area with the fiends, and there are such a lot of fiends. So I'm afraid that if you don't know any more specific information than that, you will be searching several areas of the library. So fiends of the multiverse, you will, and specifically demons.
I have a name.
Oh,
if
you
that
do?
Helps. Yes. Indeed.
Yes. Okay. What is the name?
The name is Cordro.
Cultural. Can you spell that in the common, please?
Indeed, Khodruel.
Okay. Okay, that is a name that is unfamiliar to me. Do you know what type of demon it is?
Shall I roll a religion to see if Adamant was able to?
I believe that it is a pit, a lord of the pit, or what was it, Adamant?
He's a pit lord.
A pit lord. Oh yes, pit lords. Well, that narrows it down quite considerably. Now you will find on. Well, now imagine that. Imagine where they put that. You will find on level 13, in the north wing, you will find information on pit lords and several other of the powerful classes of demons. And you will then also find on the east wing of the same level, you will find information on actual named pit lords. I do not know if we have a volume on your particular pit lord in the collection, but if not, check the north wing for general information, and if there's any biographical or accounting of deeds or anything of a particular pit lord, it will be in the east wing.
Which wing pertains to your knowledge of planes in existence?
Well, now, there are information on the planes across many levels of the library. Are we talking about the a specific plane, or are we talking about the upper planes, the lower planes, the outer planes, the inner planes? Are we talking about the elemental planes? Are we talking about the planes of shadow and death, the planes of life and eternal bliss? Are we talking about the planes of fire or water?
Out of character, I can't remember. He said he served his master, which was from something about shadow and something. I can't remember. I tried to find it in the session Discord notes, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, he serves his master on the planes of death and shadow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're looking for planes of death and shadow. All right. And that, again, narrows it down for her. So information on the planes of death and shadow, you will find that on level 5. And that will be on the south wing.
Thank you. Perhaps we should split up in groups. Adamant, no?
Well, we got multiple things we're going to look for. So
I'll cover the demons and the plane of shadow and death.
and I'm going to go look for information on the Gith.
And I guess I have a bunch of things I have to go look for. So, Elora, were you going to come with me?
As you turn around and try and find Elora, you could see that she's completely disappeared. Before the girl even started the person even started talking, she just got amazed by this whole place and she just wandered off.
Okay. All right.
That is alarming.
So at some point, well, you know, the interesting thing about this, as large as this building is, it appears like there were no other visible exits. So it looks like there's only one way in or out of here. And of course, I think you guys, at least among you, several of you have message. So even if it takes like going to every floor and wandering to the different wings and saying, Elora, somebody can eventually find her.
Oyo turns around and notices, perhaps you should stay with Galibar, Adamant. I'll go check out what I need and maybe I'll find Elora.
I could just use a sending spell to find her.
That would be very helpful.
Oh,
You may ruin all the fun. Rude.
hey, you are quite welcome. Enjoy the library. Know that we are to serve our university populations. We are open around the clock. I will be here for several more hours, but there will always be someone at this desk, and there are other desks on each of the floors. And there are special reference rooms for rare volumes and other things that are also attended around the clock. So just find a member of the library staff if you need any assistance.
Okay.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Okay, and as everybody splits up to go off and search for information in the library, I think that's a good time for us to take a break.
Okay.
I have about 5 after the hour, so let's go ahead and come back at 15 after.
All right.
And we will resume at that point. I'll put on some music so you can either stay on or you can drop off, and I will mute my mic.
And I'll be back.
My goodness, it got so quiet.
Yeah, it did. Everyone want to go do things.
Laura like libraries, or is she just stunned by the size of the place?
Stunned by the size. Seeing how everyone's doing things and it's like how they get all this knowledge type of thing. She's intrigued.
Is books a foreign concept to Laura, or?
No,
Hmm.
but she just hasn't seen so much of them in the same exact place. So it's kind of a shock and awe.
There we go. When you say you want to do something, do you want to do something that is a scene, or do you want to get back on with the adventure?
Who?
I think you were speaking as Ivy on that one.
What?
You want to do something.
Did I say I want to do something?
Yeah.
When?
About 3 minutes ago, I'd say.
No. I'm kind of out of it right now, to be honest, because I have a massive headache that isn't going away. But, no, as much as I even feel bad saying that, so I can't really say it, but I want something to happen. Like, I want to do something, but at the same time, there's nothing for me to really do productively.
Well,
Go get your note from Eric.
Huh?
Told you last week. You might not remember. Eric has notes. Remember what Eric's notes are? It's been a
Song?
while since we had that. No, it's not a song. It's used for a song.
SOME. Some.
Some. Yeah. This one will make it feel like something is happening. This one will be something. This one will have some difference. This one will make a difference.
Well, we're already spread out so thin. I mean, you could interact with me doing some research if you wanted.
I don't know, like, I just feel so guilty about wanting to say what I want to say, but at the same time, like, I don't know.
What do you want to say?
Because I find no interest in going to a library and researching things, and, like, I can see the point of it. Like, I can see the progression that it will bring to us, but it's the point of, fuck, I don't have any interest here, and it's just moving forward. I want to kill something sooner or later. I want a situation to happen type thing. And even,
we do have that dinner to go to that we got to dress up for, and you'll get to wear your nice pretty dress.
She's already wearing it.
Oh, okay.
You think she's gonna take it off? Sheesh.
Figured she didn't want it to get dirty, huh?
It's too pretty, it can't get dirty. But another thing that I'm kind of a little bit bummed out about is that I wanted to go to, like, that Griffin's Point or wherever it is and feed Griffey and my 2 lions now, but also let my Eric have a play date with Griffey and Galibar, enjoy Griffey's company because he likes griffins. And then probably one or another person would like the lions.
Yeah.
And it'd be like a cool, like, little tiny thing, but He already said it was all overlooked, so okay, I guess it already happened.
I don't think he negated it.
And even on top of that, that has nothing to do with progression, so it's one of
To an extent, yes. Some of this is monotonous detail. But it is connected. I think every scene so far has been connected to a character's own interest, even when it was embedded with monotonous detail.
We can also do that.
I think there's there.
We can also do that at our quarters. We got a big, gigantic balcony, so / patio balcony outside of our diplomat housing or whatever it's called. Anyway, you could feed them there, and then you can I don't know, some other people can participate in your scene or something, So you just being out by
it is
yourself.
right next to where we're staying. I think anyway.
The only reason why that hasn't happened, why some version of that hasn't happened, is this week you haven't mentioned.
Yeah, this week's been a little bit. I didn't expect that it would be so. But we had some things we had to get taken care of. Like, we needed Vernon's character to interact with Orzhov somehow, or just those two guilds that he's interested in. And
Well, we did Orzhov last week. We did Azurus a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
And then there's Barrows, which interesting. The interaction may be non-interaction on that point. That's actually a valid move from Eric's position right there. It's like, yeah, just make them want it until I get back here a second time, and then see what they have to say.
And we can
is valid.
And Ivy, we can always spice up the dinner that we're going to, the diplomatic dinner or whatever the hell they want to call it. Looks like a pretty snazzy party. So we could do some good roleplay there if you like.
And plus, even on top of that, I can say Griffey got impatient and he came out of his whatchamacallit and trashed the dinner. No, it's not going to happen. But
are you saying you don't really want roleplay? You want action? That's what you're saying.
I want to roleplay, but at the same time, a little bit of action wouldn't be bad.
So you want something to happen other than monotonous details that don't really evolve our character.
He wants chaos.
They do. They do evolve our character.
Of course, I'm a fucking Toril. No.
I do. Well, the notes will give you a situation. It will change your experience of the group.
You could accidentally summon Griffey and your lion in the library, and then they just start fucking up. Then they start causing all kinds of problems inside the library.
I feel like we would be fined heavily.
Well, you're off by yourself, so...
You would be fined heavily. That does not help your argument.
The only reason why Griffey would come out, besides, technically they're not allowed out until I say their word, but I want to try and change, a little bit up with the totems, if that makes any sense. Not anything, this isn't it anymore, but make them go out, feed them, and things like that, just realistic type of details, I guess. And I'm hoping
can't they only be activated every 7 days?
Yes. But that's also another thing that I wanted to talk about Gallibond too about is this scene where I want to take them out and feed them type thing. Well, I'm not using them to get to a place or do something or fight. So can I just say, hey, they're just automatically not on cooldown again?
I think maybe we just need to get you a real griffin or something, because what you're talking about, those are inanimate objects that get magically created.
Yeah, but still, my take on them is that they were actual pets, but for a magical reason, they were put into this statue. And
Can we get you like a potbelly pig or something?
She's talking about trying to do it like a Drizzt treats Guinevere.
Yeah,
We'll get you a potbelly pig named Princess.
Well, I tell you, there's a little bit of precedent in our game for doing the kinds of things that Ivy is talking about. I think I'm going to have to be really careful about how much I let us bend the rules of how frequently the creatures can come out of their totems. But one thing I will say is permissible. If we are ever doing a skills challenge, and if you can think of a way to work the creature into a skills challenge, then just like we say that when you cast spells in a skills challenge, it doesn't really count against your spell slots, we could also say that using the figurine of wondrous power during a skills challenge doesn't count against, doesn't reset the clock on how often you can use it. So if you have used it for 6, or if you haven't used it for 6 days, and something comes up and there's a skills challenge and you want to use it, well, it doesn't reset that clock to, okay, well, now you just used it, so you have to wait 7 more days. You still just wait until the 7th day, and then you can use it in like an encounter for a combat or narrative situation or whatever that you would use it for. I think most of the time figurines of wondrous power are used in combat situations.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go and I'll have to do a little bit of research and see what is done in other games and stuff, because I can see an argument for both ways. Of course, something that might help is that if Elora says that she always has, and she can figure out how she accounts for this, whether she's got like a bag of holding or something like that she keeps it in that keeps it from going bad, but that she always has snacks or food available for the figurines, and then after she's had to call them and use them in a situation, she can always just say, oh, okay, now she feeds them while they're there before she dismisses them. That we can always do something like that.
Keep in mind also, you're a druid, so as long as you have 3rd level spell slots or higher, you summon 2 lions.
So we do need to get her a potbelly pig named Princess. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, like lions are only CR1 creatures, so you can literally just summon them. At any time you have a spell slot.
I will just say for Ken's benefit that any gifts that your character wants to purchase for other characters in the party, that's entirely up to the players, and I will reserve the right, depending on what you all say. Oh, we're going to buy a pet, so-and-so. I will reserve the right to say ixnay on the et pay. But if it's something within reason, that's more of a flavor pet than a mechanical pet, then I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that. And I forget,
only like 400.
Yeah, I forget in this edition whether druids get like animal companions, or whether I'm just confusing D&D and WoW.
Druids, unless they come out with this new subclass for it in the next book, they don't get a animal companion. But
Okay.
they get conjure animals and can just summon animals.
Right. Okay.
Eric has a bards actually, not Eric, but bards have a 5th level spell named Awaken, which
So the
Eric will
druids.
have. All druids also have access, so that will make animal companions as well as plant.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice. All right. So, now the question is, and I think this is a legitimate question for the team. How much of this research is stuff that you want to discover and discuss within a session, and how much of it is stuff that you say, oh, I look for this, this, and this, and then you get some sort of a PDF during the week that tells you what you find?
I think the PDF would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm more than happy to just skip
Bless
over
you.
most, except for the stuff about treants. I would want to go over with my weapon
Okay.
at some point, but because he's researching that, so you can find out more about like stuff like that would be related to his weapon, and maybe find out what realm they could have possibly. Everything else is just for. Well, no, the Planeswalker and the treant stuff is stuff for the weapon, but the Beholder and the Gith are just stuff for the.
Whoops, I didn't realize I had myself muted there. Okay, great. All right, so I'll have stuff for the Gith and the treants and the Planeswalker. What other items are we looking at? What other items are we looking at for in-character discussion?
In the library or in?
Yeah, in the library. Yeah,
no, Eric's
those items we. Okay. So then, all right. So I have that, and all right, great. Great. All right. This is all right. Okay. That is just notes to myself on that in the Discord. And thank you guys, chat, for hanging out with us this afternoon. Appreciate that. We will go ahead and advance to a meeting that is, and we'll have time to come back and do that other in-character stuff in the future. But we will have our first meeting with the leaders of the guilds that the party are familiar with to talk about what comes next. And there is a report from there's a report at this meeting that involves arcane engineer Xander, and there is Senator Gallia, and there is the general There is a general that is from the Boros. There is also a different attaché from the Azorius Senate, who is there at the meeting. So they bring to light. They start with a report by the Izzet that discusses some of the findings of the metals that you all have brought from Innistrad. There was at least one of the metals that they know what it does already, but there were some of the others that they had to begin doing alchemical experiments on to figure out what they actually do. And we will say that by this time, they have begun the tests on the Cavorite, on the Chlorophyte, on the Visorium, and the Chronesium. And let's see what else. Okay. And the Idrium. And okay, that's Chronesium again. And the Zeploinor. And actually, they have completed their tests on the Zeploinor. The Zeploinor, this was the one that in the journal you found, it said that it was a crystalline metal, and when sufficient quantities are aligned with the grains of the crystal in the same orientation, they will spontaneously levitate. And what they have discovered is that they have discovered that this Zeploinor is will work as a good substitute for a metal that they were going to be searching for that will help them with the propulsion system of the drill rig that they are assembling for use back on Toril. Apparently, there is some sort of it relies on some sort of a magnetic levitation type system that's part of the propulsion, and so this Zeploinor is a metal that can be used for that. And when they start talking about that, then there is an excited murmur from the attaché. And Senator Gallia looks over at the attaché and says, Attaché Daknind, do you have something to add? And this Vidalcan nods and says, yes, Senator. And she turns to the rest of the group. She says, I have the honor to be Holemia Daknind. I am a member of the Ravnican Interdimensional Diplomatic Corps. And I have a report from General Battlehorn. General Rarkad Battlehorn. And the senator says, oh, okay, well, what news does General Battlehorn send? And so the attaché opens up this communique and says, well, General Battlehorn was the commander assigned in the Advanced First Contact Defense Force that was sent to Innistrad. And the general has reported that the village that the adventurers identified as Hollowhenge has been secured. It appears that the native had abandoned the village entirely, and so General Battlehorn decided to claim the town and establish it as a diplomatic base for reaching out to the peoples across the rest of the plane. Now, using intelligence reports compiled from the debriefing of the adventurers on their return to Ravnica, a force of 50 assault troops was sent to secure the town. Now, of that initial force, it appears that 30 of them were killed or maimed to the point that they had to be evacuated back to Ravnica, and they had to be replaced. But now General Battlehorn is glad to report that after a loss of only 45 total soldiers, a base and perimeter has been established with a force of 65 mixed warriors and law mages, and construction crews and diplomats have begun transporting daily to Innistrad to construct a base from which they will begin diplomatic outreach to the cities and towns across Kessig and the other provinces of Innistrad. All in all, Boros leadership considers it a successful first contact mission, and the Ravnicans look forward to establishing full diplomatic and trade relations with the people of Innistrad in the coming years. And Senator Gallia says, "Oh, well, that's an excellent report. Yes."
I thought we advised not to send a military force first.
Well, this is not a military force. This is a diplomatic force. This is the diplomatic defense attaché, if you will.
Is this happening away from Oyo, or where's this going down?
This is being reported at a meeting where you guys are attending. So you're you all are being told that this is happening.
Oh, I thought we were all in the library still.
I'm making a PDF of what we find in the library. Save some time. Let us move on.
And the senator looks at Adamant and gives the explanation that this is a diplomatic defense force.
Mm-mm. I see. That's not what the people are going to see. But
And our Arcanum engineer Xander pipes up and says, now that we realize that there's sufficient quantities of Zafloinor there, we can assist the Ravnican people with advanced mining technologies that can help them more readily pull that material out of their mines, and we can enter into some sort of trade where we can purchase the Zafloinor from Innistrad for equitable market rates and contribute to the building of their economy. I saw the notes from the briefing that you all had, and it seems like there's a lot of potential to really help improve the quality of life of the people of Innistrad. So I think this is going to be a benefit to all of our peoples, to them and us and other allied planes that we can help the people of Innistrad make diplomatic contact with.
did you at least send... Go ahead.
You're not wrong, engineer. But please tell me, could you review your notes, please, on what we told you about approaching the people of Innistrad? What notes did you take and have regarding that?
Oh, well, of course. We are going to make sure that the diplomats are the ones that are sent to make contact with the people outside of Hollowhenge. From our notes on the village of Hollowhenge itself, it seems that there were reports of undead and demonic cultists. And when we
Correct.
got there, we discovered no native populations that were not among the undead or the demons.
Yes.
In fact, it says the only native fauna we found were, unfortunately, some of those creatures that you all reported to be brain weevils. And it seems a large number of the deaths occurred because soldiers mistook the brain weevil pods for a gourd of some kind.
Damn brain weasels.
We did inform you to burn all the pumpkins.
Yes. But fresh pumpkins are such a temptation for the troops. I'm not surprised that some of them succumbed. It is a bit distressing that so many were lost. But
again, sir, I did not ask you who's going. I asked you what notes did you take regarding how to interlock with the people of Innistrad.
Well, and he looks through his notes, and he says, "Be diplomatic."
That is Mr. Adamant's point. Mr. Adamant, go ahead and make your next point.
Did you at least send Schindler to Ron?
Schindler, in fact, will be leading the force that will accompany the diplomats when they are ready to range out from Hollowhenge. Right now, the only people that are there are the construction crews and the defense crews for the immediate vicinity of Innistrad.
I don't think you should be sending a force, because these people are very suspicious, just as we were, and Schindler helped us get past most of that suspicion, which is why I suggested him as the leader of the diplomatic envoy. I feel like we were half ignored during the briefing in our suggestions, and it's not a pleasant feeling.
And Senator Gallia says, "Well, Mr. Adamant, Mr. Delapane, my apologies if it seems like your words were not taken with the utmost care and concern. I assure you that we in Ravnica have the best interest of the people of Innistrad at heart. We very much try to learn from the missteps that we have made in the past, and we examined your notes from the debriefing on Innistrad with an eye to the memory of how we got off on the wrong foot with the folk of your world. And we decided that with your reports of such a concentration of hostile activity that even endangers the very lives of the people of Innistrad, we wanted to send a force that could demonstrate, if any of the natives were there to see, that we were on their side and we could handle the threats that face them.
The only
And-
thing that got us on their side was when we showed up and got rid of the demonic cult that was taking their people. Before that, they saw us as interlopers. And some still did. And you're talking about sending more armed forces. I understand a small guard. Just the four or five of us could handle what came our way. And your people are so highly trained. You should be able to do the same. Yes.
Yes. And then she turns to the attaché and she says, please make some notes that you must send a member of the Interdimensional Diplomatic Corps to talk with Adamant at his quarters, and they are to consider Adamant's directives equal with those of a colonel in the Boros Legion. Please make sure that they are taken to leadership and that leadership is to advise the general on his course of action as it pertains to dealings with the natives of Innistrad. And the attaché is over there scribbling everything down furiously and says, "Yes, Senator, yes, I will." And then the senator says, "Attaché, do you have any more to report from Innistrad?" And the attaché says, No, not right now." And okay. And then the senator turns back to you all and say, "Do you have any more for the attaché at the moment?"
Not at the moment.
And then the senator says, "Very well, attaché Daknand, you may be excused." And the attaché gives a little bow and then stands up and takes their leave from the room. And so then they get down to future business. And they say, "Well, we are ready to discuss the next phase of the journey. The next part of the plan to retrieve and rescue Tassander Verlassen from the Githyanki. We need to build, I think we may have mentioned this before, that we need to build some components called biotic portal scramblers, and these use ethereal maelstrom technology. Suffice it to say that these scramblers weaken and fracture the shield that the Githyanki have erected to protect their base in Toril. We need a special lubricant called Tugrite oil, and that is extremely rare on most planes and does not exist on Ravnica. But we have located a source of this material, and it is on a plane that is known to us through the Living Guild Pact as the plane of Kamigawa. There is a raw material on Kamigawa that can be refined into Tugrite oil by a race of goblins who call themselves the Aki. Now, according to the latest reports from the Living Guild Pact, the Aki are accounted among the most technologically advanced peoples of Kamigawa, and they are great traders and explorers on that plane. Unfortunately, in recent years, the Aki have retreated to their enclaves because of some sort of disturbance in the spirit world of Kamigawa. There are beings that they call Kami, some sort of spirit beings, and she seems kind of confused, like she's not entirely sure of what this is. But they are said to be the protectors of Kamigawa, and something have caused these spirit protectors to go to war against the races in the material realm of Kamigawa, and particularly to make war on the humans for some reason. And unfortunately, for our needs and our purposes, the Planeswalkers have not deemed that the troubles in Kamigawa are important enough to warrant their personal involvement. So it falls to someone else to go to Kamigawa and see if the strife between the spirit Kami and the mortals of the material realm can somehow be resolved. Alternately, you may wish to approach the Aki directly and see if there is something that you can do to assist them in refining the raw material into the Tugrite oil that we need. And because of your success in the mission to Innistrad, and because of your personal involvement and the urgency you all personally feel to aid Tassinda Verlassen, we thought that perhaps you would be the best people for this particular job.
Well, another strange situation with very little to go on.
Indeed. What else can you tell us of this Kamigawa?
Oh, well, they are populated by a variety of different sentient tribes or races. As I said, the Aki are goblinoids, much in temperament and cleverness and creativity, much akin to the goblins that you find here in Ravnica, although according to the notes we have from Jace and a couple of the other planeswalkers, they have very different physical morphology. They actually seem to somehow grow bony shells on their backs, kind of like turtles. It's very strange. But otherwise they are recognizable as goblins. Then there are several different tribes of a serpent-like people. And our notes say that some of these serpent people have as many as 8 arms, as well as having the 2 legs. And that the different tribes of snake people have affinities to different parts of the spirit realm. Some are aligned to the celestial spirits, some are aligned to the spirits of nature, and some are aligned to the demonic spirits. And then it is said that there's also, among the wisest races in Kamigawa, is a race of vulpine humanoids called the Kitsune. They are accounted to be among the greatest philosophers, but also very, very deadly with their specific martial arts that they are that they have developed within their culture. And then, of course, there are humans, which are broken up into different nations or tribes, if you will. And the largest central city is a kingdom, or the largest central kingdom is called Aiganjo. And it is ruled by a family called Konda. And then there are various forests and mountains and swamps and whatnot, and the different tribes of folk who live there. It is also said that in some of the out-of-the-way places, you will find a race of ogres that are there, that are apparently bloodthirsty and brutal, and they are servants of demonic forces in Kamigawa. And then there is a race of humanoids that live in the clouds, if you can believe that. And it is said there are cloud people called the Soratami. And finally, in the swamps, there is a race of rat-like people called the Nezumi that are accounted as being quite clever. And they will give you a report. They will give you a report that has this information in it.
But the ones that are important to us are the Gaba.
The Aki are the ones that are important to your primary mission. So approaching the goblins first and finding out what they need and what they know, that it may be something as simple as going to them and helping them, or they will tell you basically the lay of the land, what's going on there.
Do we need
They
help
know-
speaking the language?
It is a curious thing that planeswalkers have observed, and if you ever do any research on it, you will find this. It is something that scholars have debated about and philosophers have written about at great length. But wherever you find humans across the multiverse, across the different planes of the multiverse, it seems that there is a single common language that humans carry with them everywhere they go. And this has led us to some debate about the origins of humanity itself. Whether perhaps there was, in a time long past, some sort of ancient race that had the knowledge to travel the planes and seeded itself and became the humans of all of these different realms.
It's an
possible.
Interesting point. And further interesting that the human language seems to be predominant in all of these cases. However, you're talking about a group of creatures that would have a great difference in learners. Nevertheless, I think your point and what you're trying to say is we don't.
Well, do you all among you, do any of you possess the ritual or the spell to comprehend languages?
I do.
Ah, well then, that should take care of at least the initial greetings. Perhaps with some time, a rudimentary form of communication can be established if indeed the Aki do not interact with the humans. They are said to be great traders, so races that trade with others tend to be very well versed in the languages of their customers. So you may find that they understand the human language, although there may be, accents or different terms that they use that are unique to their world and their race.
Convenient. So we'll probably need comprehend languages and tongues and such to understand what they're saying to each other.
That would be up to you. If you want to go as diplomats and show full trust in your hosts, you may do that. It is always wise, of course, to understand as much as you can about your host's full motives. So on the side of caution, I would say yes. If you have a way of monitoring what they say in their own tongue and understanding that might be good.
Is there anything else on the meeting's agenda?
There is not. We are compiling some maps for you and some notes for you. We do believe there are some individuals that we can give you some information about, and that we can help to place you in a location that is convenient for your mission when we send you to Kamigawa, so that you do not have to trek across half the plane to get to your destination after you arrive.
Well, So the mission, if we choose to accept it, is what exactly?
Get the orb.
Retrieve the material that will help the Aki refine the Tugrite oil, and then return the Tugrite oil to Ravnica.
Very well.
We will provide information on the quantities that are required. And of course, all of the quantities we specify include enough reserve in case more is needed. We wanted to make sure that we specified that this time because last time when we sent you for the material from Innistrad, we had specified enough and to spare, and you brought back so much more than we expected. So we want you to be assured that you need not ask your hosts for more material than we specify, because there is already a factor for excess in case it is needed. You know, with industrial accidents and whatnot.
Do you have open trade with this Kamigawa?
Currently, we do not. No. There are but a handful of planeswalkers who have traveled to Kamigawa, and there is one planeswalker known to us but not known by us that is actually a native of Kamigawa. She is accounted to be an acquaintance of the Living Guild Pact, but as yet we have not been able to convince the Guild Pact to ask this planeswalker to visit us so that we can find out more about her plane.
And what is her name?
Her name is let's see. One of these days, I'm just going to be able to look over at chat, and somebody in chat will have it. Okay. It is here, I think. This is the yes. Her name is Tamio. And Tamio is, according to the Guild Pact, Tamio is a member of a very reclusive race from Kamigawa that call themselves the Moonfolk.
Moonfolk. Very interesting. When are we supposed to leave, you think?
Oh, I would say that we will probably have the material ready for you within a week. So you have a few more days yet here in Ravnica, but we know that urgency is important to you as it is important to us, and we do not want to delay you any more than necessary.
Yes, question regarding that. Why isn't the material already ready? Did you just discover this plane? No, you didn't. Because you know people from. You just figured out that we needed this material recently.
Yes. You have not been with the adventuring group for the entire time, Mr. Delaplane. But when we encountered the group and responded to the attack on Waterdeep by the Githyanki, the cultures of Toril and we, their Ravnican allies, were able to determine that some sort of a hitherto unknown arcane shield had been erected around a central plateau of an entire continent on their world. And it is within this shield that is more properly like a dome, is impenetrable to all of our currently known technologies. So we have had to do arcane studies, espionage missions, working with our allies in Toril, in the city of Waterdeep that these other adventurers come from, to learn what the materials are that make up this shield and how we might breach it. And so this research has been ongoing and continues, and as we learn more, we are able to better engineer the drilling rig that we will have to create in order to penetrate the shield so that we can take the fight to the Githyanki and rescue Tassinda Verlassen from captivity.
This is quite an operation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
How many other adventuring groups are we speaking about?
And she spreads her hands to the table and says, I think that the adventuring group you are with will sufficiently be able to help us complete the task. There is a matter, of course, of time. And when we first brought the issue to the attention of our friends in Toril, there was a time of 1,003 multiverse days, that standard days, if you will. 1,003 standard days before a critical event that would change the course of the multiverse forever. And right now, as we sit here in this meeting, there are some 944 days until that cataclysmic event happens. So we do have some time, but every day that passes is one day less that we have.
And Cinda is related to the multi-dimensional event. In what way?
Ah, yes. Once again, you were not with the group when we first discussed this with them. Our law mages, our precognitive law mages, had seen that Tassinda would be responsible for a crime that would threaten the very existence of Ravnica, as well as other civilizations across the multiverse. And so we initially took steps that we thought would prevent that from happening. That included Tassinda's exile to the homeworld of your companions. There was a miscalculation, though our efforts fell short of the mark, and we became aware subsequently that the threat still loomed. And what we learned that it was not so much Tassinda herself that would be responsible, but it was that someone using the knowledge that Tassinda has would cause this irreparable and irreversible damage across the multiverse. And so, with Tassinda in the hands of Githyanki, who apparently, according to your reports from Innistrad, seem to be perhaps foot soldiers in a much larger organization, reporting to much more powerful entities than themselves. Whoever is in command of this enterprise is likely the foe that we will ultimately be facing. If we can rescue Tassinda and get her out of there and bring her to a place of safety, then it is likely we can at least slow down the efforts of our enemies and perhaps in time be able to thwart and defeat them entirely. But the key is getting Tassinda safely back to Ravnica and making sure that the knowledge that was taken from her as part of our punishment will not ever fall into the hands of her captors.
More like captors of any kind. The only way to perfect this is if Tassinda is not under any compulsion to act under anybody. Because if it was the Githyanki, you would have said so. You don't know that.
Yes, this is what terrifies us the most. The science of the precognitive law mages has allowed us to see the individuals, the time, the place, and the circumstances where crimes will be committed. We have not been able to see who ultimately is behind these crimes, but glimpses we have seen lead us to believe that what our enemy intends to do is to use this technology against us. Imagine, if you will, that you were planning an invasion of a city. And imagine that you had perfect knowledge of that city's countermeasures. And you could thwart those countermeasures. And furthermore, you knew how they would respond to you thwarting those countermeasures, and you were able to thwart them. We believe this is the kind of power that whoever is behind the Githyanki seeks to gain, so that anywhere they go in the multiverse, they will already be 3 to 5 or perhaps more steps ahead of any defense that tries to be set before them.
No, you're concerned with whoever can send it. You're concerned because you can't see to solve. You do see the current circumstance. But when you look into the future with your precognitive images, you can't see what anybody thinks or feels. Therefore, you can't prove this. Counter thesis. What if the Githyanki can do this too, and are doing the same thing you're trying to do right now?
And she sits there and she thinks.
Considering how the attack on Waterdeep went, that's pretty strong theory.
Yes, but here we are in Ravinica talking about going and taking a person from them. This is the same thing. Githyanki or any other race, ethical or not ethical, are interested in a non-multiverse event happening because it is a matter of survival for everyone. It doesn't matter who, they simply want to survive. What I'm saying is, we can't afford to assume that the Githyanki are the ones that are controlling Tacinda at the time she does some sort of event.
No, they're just the ones that have her right now.
Correct. By very similar means to the means Ravinica is using or talking about using to get Tacinda from them.
And she furrows her brow and she says, "Friend, do you propose that we send diplomats to entreat with the Githyanki and discover whether they are not in the same shoes we are?"
I would propose, instead, that you send a diplomatic party to the Githzari.
The Githzerai.
For all
Yes.
we know, for all we know, by the time the threat is within Ravnica itself, and the thing will happen when we're here.
The way to discover that would be to know what would motivate Tacinda to do something extremely damaging. One would have to assume that she's under some sort of delusion. That's the best. Because I don't think Tacinda is the one that decides, oh, I'm going to destroy them or they will kill me. I don't think anybody decides they're going to cause some sort of multi-planar, multi-universal event that will cause massive destruction. She's not a person. I don't think you can torture her into it.
And Arcanum engineer Xander will pipe up at that point and say, "Oh, well, we don't have to worry about that with Tacinda, at least not right now."
Yes.
The memory shards that you all brought back from Innistrad, those are one of but several thousand shards that contain specific portions of Tacinda Verlassen's memories that Izzet engineers extracted before she was exiled to Toril. Our intent was to remove from her memory all knowledge of the very technology that she helped us to develop. so that she would no longer have the understanding of how precognitive law enforcement works. And what went wrong is that she appeared with a mismatch in the temporal flow, so that she realized that time was missing from her memories. Instead of appearing as we intended, where what she remembered matched up specifically with who she was at the time she remembered herself, if that makes sense.
Yes, but that doesn't prove much. How do you know
Well,
it isn't technology
proves that
she
our
learns after the
calculation
fact?
that in some other culture, in some other plane across the multiverse, she rediscovers the same information that she discovered here.
Mm-hmm.
Or can you even confirm that it's this information which the precognitive mages were able to discern was actually the information being used, given the fact that you don't seem to be able to read minds?
Well, we just never considered that there would be any other culture anywhere in the multiverse that would be as sophisticated as ours that could come up with this sort of technology.
We've had this discussion with them already, Eric.
I find the more interesting questions, like, how did this information reach the Gith? There must be a leak somewhere, or an exchange of knowledge for power. Perhaps we will find this out as we continue our search.
In other words, how did the Gith think to take her in the first place? How are the Gith even onto the fact that she knows such?
Indeed. Which means there is a mental force at play here that we must be wary and cautious of.
We're assuming that she does, but it's probably a safe bet on that point. I don't know why else they'd take her.
I can tell you that she was very secretive of the knowledge that she kept when we knew her, so I find it very unlikely that she told many of what she knew in Toril. So that means that there must have been a leak here in Ravnica. Which is something that we should not take lightly.
No, we shouldn't.
Well, Tasunda was a dear... What am I saying? Tasunda is a dear and wonderful soul, says Arcane Engineer Xander. I have seldom known any non-gnomes who have the grasp of arcane, intricate knowledge that Tasunda was able to synthesize and explain to others. There were even concepts that she brought to my attention that I had only vaguely learned about, and she seemed to be able to puzzle out the threads of how they work. She has a brilliant, brilliant mind.
Until you destroyed it.
And of course, she came to us with a tremendous gift. Any wizard that can achieve the ability to cross the planes without the use of traditional teleportation obviously is in command of incredible powers. So we know she's a powerful arcanist. We know she has a brilliant mind.
Then why do you assume your society is at the top?
Because we have never encountered the like of Ravnica anywhere else. Of course.
Except that Tacinda was better. She had to come from somewhere.
Oh,
And it's not Innistrad, I assure you.
wait, you don't believe that she was native to Innistrad?
I don't believe that she gathered that level of information from Innistrad. I
No.
don't believe that she reached it there, but she didn't reach it here either. You're not at the top. At least not in everything.
I think it's safe to assume that there is always one more bigger fish in the pond, if you will. No?
Did you know? In our world, we used to have a race of people that removed the tops of mountains, flipped them upside down, and built cities, giant flying cities.
I think Ravnica could do that.
Really?
Oh, they can't?
Mm-hmm. Would you like to know what happened to them?
Why, yes, that sounds fascinating, says Arcanum Engineer Xander.
One of them decided he was greater than everybody, including the goddess of magic. So he tried to steal her power. In response, she killed herself. And for a split moment, there was no magic at all.
Oh.
And all those great cities that thought they were better than everybody else plummeted to the ground and are destroyed. A whole race of people gone in an instant because of hubris.
Oh.
Actually, he looks each of them pointedly in the eye. Your future sight that you're so proud of, your hubris, is going to take you in the same direction if you are not careful.
But it's not as a group. As a group, I would trust those we are assembled with my life. As to your checks and balances, as to your honesty with one another, that I...
And the senator looks between her companions and she says, "This is troubling indeed. I thought we knew more of the races and cultures of the multiverse than it seems we do. It seems like we may be living in a multiverse that is far more vast than we even imagined."
And quite frankly, engineer, you're obviously a very intelligent man. But when people that come from Innistrad tell you in great detail about the superstition and fear, and you write be diplomatic, look at yourself in the mirror for the quality of your...
He kind of sits there silently. He seems to be contemplating your words.
I would also like to point out that you have nothing but glowing things to say about this poor woman. Yet, even then, even with everything she did for you, everything she helped you accomplish, you still thought you were a higher plane of existence than she was. And you removed the essence of her being. Do you realize how evil that was? How selfish and how cruel?
Well,
You took what you needed, and then the second something seemed off, you tossed her to the side.
But that's survival. The survival of everyone they know and the survival of everyone that they are. There is no human that would not fall prey to such a weakness.
I fear that our meeting today is not one of what we have turned this into. We should focus on things at hand. Perhaps we could set up a meeting to discuss your ideologies or concerns in the future, no? I wish to know, what are the terrain types of Kamigawa? What do you know?
I believe, the senator says, I believe in the archives there is a map that the Guild Pact or one of the other planeswalkers provided. And I believe it's a copy, for sure, but I believe it's a copy of a map that was either drawn or dictated by Tamio, the planeswalker from Kamigawa itself.
Galibar will ask, is there any superstitions or religions I should be worried about upsetting?
After what they said about the orcs over there, I think perhaps we should find you a ring, something to disguise you with.
Of course.
Wait, I don't follow that line of reasoning.
They said that the orcs of that world are all highly aggressive.
Did I say orcs or ogres?
Said ogres, I do believe.
I thought I
Okay.
heard orcs.
Okay, I meant to say ogres.
Okay, then scratch all that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, if Galibar is going into yet another place that's going to call him a monster. But yeah, he'll just ask, is there any like religious superstitions that he's going to be worried about?
They will tell you that to the best of their knowledge, Kami, collectively they are called Kami. The spirits are venerated by the people of Kamigawa. There is also the suggestion that in different locations of Kamigawa, they are protected by beings that the people refer to as dragons. And whether or not those are actual physical dragons of the kinds that you are familiar with, or whether that is some kind of spirit that is referred to as a dragon, they're not quite sure.
How do you think they're going to react with me having dragon blood and me also being connected to a?
I think maybe some things we should keep secret, such as the fact that I'm not a man in armor.
I mean,
Could possibly be advantageous.
If I ever enter combat, they'll probably see that I'm.
They would see the color of your blood.
They would also see the fact that I'm covered in scales.
I'm just
Dragon
suggesting we be
scales.
cautious.
Is there such a thing as a lizard man?
But I am very obviously not a lizard man.
Yeah.
They don't know of any races of either lizard folk or dragonborn or anything like that are there.
Uh-oh. So it appears we may have a problem.
The fact
Or-
that I have silver dragon scales can breathe ice and, have the blood of a dragon is not going to affect him at all.
I continue to advise caution.
Well, you're either a god or a heretic. Probably a bit of both.
Okay, being considered a god would be a nice change of pace. considering the
Not
fact that
necessarily.
Everybody everywhere I go always is a monster. It'd be better than being assumed I'm a monster.
Unless it was the gods that they blamed for all their problems, and then then it would be bad to be mistaken for a god.
And good if you were a mockery of them.
Yes. So they will go ahead and make sure that they get you information on the kind of the spirit traditions or what passes for religious traditions of Kamigawa, and try to pull together information on some of the spirits and what those dragons are. And I can put that in as part of the PDFs that are sent to people. And what I'll ask you guys, based on what you all were looking for, would you just want me to take those and create a channel called something like Kamigawa Lore in the Discord?
Yeah.
And just throw them all in there? Or Adamant, would you want to get the specific PDFs on the things you were looking for? And
Well, he would share any information that he got. So I would
Okay.
say just go ahead and put it in the channel.
okay.
Adamant's not big on keeping things secret.
Okay. All right. So unless anybody lets me know, I will just plan on putting all of those into into something called a Kamigawa Lore channel, and in that way, it's kind of a pool of floating knowledge that the party has, and you guys can take the time during the week or while we are in Kamigawa, when we start our sessions in there, you can refer back to those for information.
Okay.
Because there will be some individual people that they'll tell you about, as well as some of the locations and traditions, and a map that they will have for you. Kind of point out some of the locations. All right, good. Okay, now there are a couple of other things that you guys were doing. I think we wanted to swing back around and catch up with a couple of more things. What additional individual items did you all want to do while you are in Ravnica before we start to move the plot towards Kamigawa?
Oh, There is an item that I want to try to see if I can get, but other than
I think the one that should steer next is Elora.
Okay.
There's a couple of little dashes for Eric, but then there's even an argument for putting off a couple. But
Okay.
Elora hasn't done a thing.
Yeah, I can send you what I want to do in private.
Okay.
Buying the crafting materials.
Okay, Elora. Okay, you. All right, you were spending some time with Griffey in the beast areas, and while you are there, or I'm sorry, you were spending time with the lions there.
Well, this is way after where we are now. Well, before where we are now.
Right. This is
So-
where we are now.
How about we continue with the pace and say, what time is it now? Like after the whole meeting with everyone.
It's gonna be probably the evening of the day after you guys were over there. So this would be the evening of the day that you all spent in the library.
So afternoon, nightish type. So we would all be heading back to basically not our dorm, but where we're staying.
Yeah, the diplomatic quarters. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm guessing she bought like slabs of meat and stuff on her way there after she met with these people. So
Okay.
she'll knock on everyone's doors and ask them, "Hey, you want to come outside? Do you want to see Griffey and my 2 new friends?" To everyone else's doors, whoever they were in their dorms with.
Galibar would probably say yes.
That's probably exactly right for right now.
Well, Eric would be dragged along if he likes it or not. So you don't have a choice. But after she gets everyone's attention, she'll go to a big, huge open area next to where we're staying. I think it's called like Griffin's Point or something. I'm not really sure. But she'll go up.
Yes, there is an area. Let me go and pull up that map. I think you guys are in. You guys are staying in Precinct 2, I believe. Yes, Griffin Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah, Griffin Heights, that's kind of a that is a residential area for people that live and work, or that work in all of the government offices there. And there are some green spaces and plazas in the middle of that area. Mostly it's densely packed high-rise housing, and then of course, like shops and restaurants and all that kind of other stuff.
DM, the stream went down.
Oh, it went down again? Goodness.
Okay, well, regardless, she'll go to an open area that's somewhere close to where they're staying, and then she'll summon her 3 totems. And that would be Griffey and our 2 new lions called Vega and Omega.
Vega and Omega?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, they appear, and if there's any of the players that missed the session or don't recall, describe what Griffey looks like. What makes him or her distinctive.
Let me pull up this page. What makes him so distinct within the rest of all the Griffins that
Yeah, that's kind of like, does he have distinctive plumage or markings or anything like that? Because it's your griffin, and so if you had something kind of special in mind about the way it looked or coloration or features or things like that.
On his tail, he would have like a big, huge poof ball, and his tail would also be almost braided with this type of vine that Elora would have put there herself. On Vega and Omega, she was making a almost necklace for them to wear around their necks, made of vines and flowers and such things like that. So technically not themselves as different, but something that makes them unique to her.
Okay.
But once Griffey gets out of his totem, he'll instantly go over to Eric and push him over and just give him a big, huge lick.
Okay. Yes. So this big griffin comes over and with all of its glory.
Hello, Griffey. Promise not to eat my friend. Arpeggio!
And the griffin goes. I can't do a screech like an eagle, but it screeches.
Well, Griffey, Omega, and Vega would all be interested in the little tiny cat that's right by her brother. But
Yeah.
Elora will sneakily go over to Galibar and pull out this big, huge slab of meat and say, I know you like Griffey, and here's a gift so Griffey will like you too.
Okay, Galibar will take the meat and walk over to feed Griffey.
Still, when Griffey's on top of Eric, he'll look and then he'll like almost nod happily and look up in the air and wait for you to throw it.
Okay, I will throw it. Let's see how high I throw it.
It's flavor. You don't need to make a check, but you can if you want.
I just wanted to see how much strength I could put behind it.
Okay.
Pretty freaking
Yeah,
strong.
pretty good. Pretty good.
So after you throw it, he'll jump up, he'll grab the meat, and then it'll just slobber all over Eric while he eats it.
Yeah.
Eric squeezes his way out.
Bits of juices from the meat just fall on Eric and on the ground around him, and as he tears at the meat with that beak, holding it in one claw and then tearing at the meat, little bits of that flop all over the place, and we'll say that one little morsel goes over and lands on Eric's shoulder, and then the cat just kind of sniffs over there and eagerly sort of eats that right off of the cloth of Eric's shoulder.
I just purchased these clothes.
And the lions sit there and they're kind of looking at that meat like, wow, that would probably taste good.
And Laura has 2 other slabs of meat that she'll give to her lions.
I was about to say they probably were looking at Eric and
He's down on the ground.
Well-
Get him.
because they are figurines of wondrous power, they are kind of magically constrained to sort of be obedient to Elora's thoughts. So unless she had thoughts of them, looking at her brother hungrily, they probably wouldn't do that.
Of course, the minute you try not to think about something.
Yeah, they're still cats. By the way, DM, how much would 25 pounds of really high quality meat cost?
A pound of meat.
25 pounds.
Well, I know, but I'm trying to think of, what would a pound of meat cost? Kind of, probably not much. I mean, you can get a full prepared meal for like 2 silver. So, I mean, and that's not usually a pound of meat, but I would say maybe 1 silver per pound. So, maybe 2 gold, 5 silver to get 25 pounds. And if you really, really, really wanted to splurge, you could maybe double that and say 5 gold, but that would be like super fancy meat.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Okay, well, it's super fancy meat that humans might think is good, but it might be, in air quotes, kind of ruined from the standpoint of a predator that wants something that tastes more natural.
I'm talking about like the really fatty meat stuff that carnivores would really enjoy.
Oh, well, that's actually okay. That's probably actually going to be the lower quality cuts from the standpoint of a butcher that is preparing meat for humans or humanoids. So you actually might get away with maybe a pound for just 2 gold, because it's kind of like, the real fatty stuff for all the people that are health conscious, they would want to stay away from that, and those kinds of things. So they might not be as in vogue, if you will.
See, I'm filling up my chest of preserving with 25 pounds of that meat.
Okay.
So back to Griffey. After he's done eating his meat, he'll sit between Galibar and Eric and look for pets afterwards. But Elora would throw her ball over to Eric, so he knows what to do with Griffey. But I thought it would be a nice, cute way to end.
Okay.
So, even though we still have 5 more minutes left.
Elio stands there smiling closely at Adamant, and he'll whisper, "Well, my old friend, I think we need to have a talk."
Do we? What's on your mind?
Kamigawa is on my mind. You see, that is my last name.
Interesting.
But now I'm not so sure it's true.
Well, I'm sure we will find out more when we get there. As I've said, our group seems to be rather serendipitous. So if there's something there for us to find, I'm sure we will come across it in our travels.
I was always suspicious. You see, I was raised as an orphan. You know, I told you I had an uncle, but he was not my real uncle. As we watch Griffey and Eric and Galibar and Elora play, me and Adamant seem to be having this little talk, keeping up appearances, but Oyo's making use of the time. You think I should tell the others?
I don't think it's quite important yet. Not in a way that affects them, just you. And I think when the time comes to tell everybody else, you'll know what that time is.
What if my parents were for Kamigawa? What if I'm noticed when we go?
Well, you're not alone. You'll have us with you.
Riddles in between riddles, my friend. The further we go down this journey, the more questions we have.
Gilbar would say that was a good journey.
Perhaps. I think we both know what Thardrum would say.
I think Thardrum would be quite tired of it all.
Indeed.
Would Elora see if you guys were having like a serious conversation or just more relaxed?
Adamant has no facial expressions at all.
Good
Fair.
luck reading Oyo.
That doesn't
Yeah,
answer my-
if you mechanically, the way that would be resolved, if Oyo was trying to mask that he was saying anything significant, he could make a deception check, and that would be opposed by a perception check by Elora to see if she could basically see through his bluff.
But was she actively looking, or would it be a passive?
Well, she would look over to see what you guys were doing, but not like saying, okay, well, why are they alone type thing.
Well, you would see Oyo smiling back and Adamant blank-faced, and we probably look like we're just enjoying watching you guys have fun. But sure, if you feel like something's off, I guess I can roll.
Well, not something off. She just wants to see what you guys are doing because she's going to send Omega and Vega over to stand in front of you guys and look for pets. Two
Okay.
big, huge lions.
Keep up appearances, Adamant. We better pet them.
He just kind of looks at the lion blankly. Okay. And pets the lion awkwardly.
Oyo pets the other lion. He just kind of waves at Elora.
He pats him on the head. Pat,
Like-
pat, pat.
Like that awkward pat? That's funny.
Yeah.
Laura will shrug her head and then whistle and then throw a ball and they would just go flying. Not
You
like
know-
actual flying, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, my friend, this could pertain to Sarador as well. It might all be intertwined.
That's very true. That is very true.
I think you're right. Perhaps I shall not tell them yet. It might be wise.
Yes. No need to cause an undue fuss.
But we must be on our guard, no?
Always.
Good. I'm counting on you, Adamant. And Oyo will
But
that he'll. What?
Oyo,
Mhm.
what are you counting?
What do you mean? As Oyo slowly turns around and looks at Adamant.
Are you counting my plates or my things? What are you counting? You said you're counting on me.
It is a metaphor of the living, Adamant. It means that I rely on your friendship, your trust, your being, your essence.
Oh, then I count on you. Then I count on you as well.
Very good. And with that, Oyo slowly walks to the rest of the group. Well, Elora, they seem to be enjoying themselves, no?
Well, I hope they would. I'm trying my best here. As Laura soon has like an evilish smile and then chucks a ball right at Oyohusa and then runs another way. And then you see two lions come chasing right after you for the ball.
Oyo will play along and he'll begin to play some tag using his extreme dexterity and give the lions a fighting chance.
Okay, and as the sun slowly sets in the west and night begins to darken the skies in the east of Ravnica, we see our party out enjoying some frolic with the summoned animal companions, and the screen slowly fades to black on this session of the game. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And yeah, thank you, Chris, for the notice. I didn't know how long maybe the stream had stopped, and OBS keeps recording. So I'm just going to trust that OBS has actually recorded the whole session, and that we'll have it there so I can at least put that up on the when I put it up with the other archives on the YouTube.
And it gave you so much trouble. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, there was something I saw earlier today about how Twitch had either had quit working or had been blocked in India, and so I don't know whether they are doing some kind of maintenance on Twitch. I would have thought that there would have been some notice that would have popped up on their site if they were doing scheduled maintenance. But maybe somebody has decided that it's a good time to try to hack Twitch and cause troubles with their service for whatever reason. So
it could be China.
Could be.
Always China, damn it.
Or maybe somebody in the Kremlin is just a real fan of Magic the Gathering and wants to have a private line into this particular D&D game and doesn't want anybody else to share.
That Oreo character, this is my favorite. I must know. No.
Unfortunately, it's Yakov Smirnov.
Dos Vidania, my friends.
We stand in line to watch Magic the Gathering game.
All right. Well, in that case, everybody have a good week. Like I said, I'll get some information out to you. I did score a bit of a coup this week in terms of I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now.